Happy New Year, everybody. How you doing? Pinside exploding on a Sunday night, getting it all wrong about the new Stern pinball theme announcement. All that and more on episode 129 of Coast to Coast Pinball. Let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast commentary. I am a man out of quarters. It's 2015, January 4th, 2015, coming to you not live from San Diego, California. How are you? I hope your holidays were good. Hope your New Year started off great. And stuff's happening. Gotta love it. So, tonight, the leak of the WWE WrestleMania themed pinball machine coming from Stern hits the internet, and the Pinside forum explodes on that news. We've got some feedback. We've got lots of mail to answer, questions to answer, just some things to read from you, dear listeners. I hope you're all well. I've been really sick. I would have done a show sooner. I'm kind of glad I waited because I get to talk about WrestleMania. But I've been really sick. I'm still not feeling 100%. But, you know, that kind of goes with, the winter, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. So I hope everyone's doing well. I've known about WrestleMania for like almost a month now, and I couldn't say anything. It's been driving me nuts. Teresa and I were on location playing pinball at Nickel City recently, and it's pretty much the best place to play location pinball in San Diego right now. They have a nice lineup of games, including the Data East WWE Royal Rumble game. And that game is a game that I've always sort of had a love-hate relationship with. I like that classic wrestling theme. I was a wrestling fan growing up, but I was never a huge fan of that game until, I don't know, I got a little better at pinball, and I started liking that game more, I guess. And so I kind of go back and, I like this game. And then I play it sometimes, and it's not set up right, or it's too floaty. I don't like it, so I don't know. I've always been back and forth on that game. But we were playing it, and Teresa was playing it, and I said, the next Stern game is WWE Pin, right? And she's like, no way, really? I'm like, yeah. She goes, but with who on it? Because she knows a little bit about pro wrestling. And I said, it's all the new people. It's the John Cena type people. And she's like, oh, that's cool. So we were talking about that the other day, and I have not seen the playfield. I don't know anything about the game other than I knew that it was licensed and that WWE had signed this quite a while back. I have actually a friend who works for the WWE, so I couldn't say anything. Pretty excited it's out now. Let's just jump right into it, right? The highlights and the lowlights of Stern announcing WrestleMania as a theme.
Highlights and lowlights.
So this is a surprise to some people, although it should not be, because I did have a little birdie let me know that this was happening a while back. But if you read between the lines on the next Stern announcement Pinside thread, I think it was pretty obvious it was going to be WWE. I think the Kiss thing might have been throwing people off, but WWE was absolutely 100% obvious. There are some people out there who do know this information ahead of time, and some of them cannot stay quiet, and they had been leaking that out. So that's been out in the ether. I think some people just hoped it wasn't. This has got to be the most hated theme on first note in a long, long time, right? I mean, Mustang got beat up a little bit, but nothing like what we're seeing happen live right now on Pinside. I'm actually refreshing the thread right now of the new Stern game is WrestleMania. I'm on page 8 as I'm recording this episode, and I gotta say it's probably 80% negative towards WrestleMania as a theme for a pinball machine, and maybe 20% positive or not. I think a lot of people who are probably excited about this theme do not want to jump into the Sharks pool, I guess. Sharks live in pools, not pits. Snake pit that is Pinside right now, with a few really aggressive haters, which that's a whole other subject that we can talk about at a later date. But there's a lot of outward fun being made of wrestling as a theme and wrestling as a business. So let's just look at a few facts here before we get into the pinball side of it. The WWE used to be the WWF. I grew up on the WWF. I watched Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. I watched The Ultimate Warrior, The Big Boss Man. To a lesser degree, I watched some of the Ric Flairs and the Arn Andersons and the Four Horsemen. I watched all that as a kid. I was really into pro wrestling as a young child. I had a subscription to the WWE magazine. I went in the second grade. My dad lost a bet on a football game with me and had to take me to pro wrestling. And I saw Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant at the Tucson Convention Center in like probably 1989 or 1990, something like that. So I was a fan as a child. I was not a fan of pro wrestling through the big boom period where it got really popular again in this country, when there was the quote attitude era, which you'll hear people talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and Mr. McMahon as a character and all that. I was not watching wrestling through those periods. I was playing in bands, and wrestling just didn't seem interesting to me. I've always known wrestling wasn't real. From a very small age, my dad told me, Nate, that's fake. If that was real, people would be dying all the time. And I understood that. And so for those of you out there who think, oh, people still think it's real. Nobody still thinks it's real. Like, stop it. Stop saying that. Nobody still thinks wrestling's real. Everyone knows it's scripted. It's choreographed. Stop it. Like, I want to strangle people. I love the guy with the story, like, and this has been posted multiple times tonight. No, man, I live in the South. These people still think it's real. No, they don't. They didn't think it was real in the 70s, for the most part. But people do what is called, they suspend their disbelief. They follow along and pretend with it. They get caught up in the story. It's a character-driven, athletic soap opera. Sometimes it's done really well, and it's really entertaining, and sometimes it's done really poorly. I'm not going to get into a big wrestling talk right now, because we could do hours and hours and hours on wrestling. But I will tell you this. I have been to 2 WrestleManias in my life. I've been to WrestleMania 25 and whatever the last one was. This is bad. I guess that was WrestleMania 29, so it wasn't the last one. The one before last. I saw the one in Phoenix. I saw the one in New York, New Jersey. And I went because, like I said, I have a friend who is tied into the WWE, and I can acquire tickets if I'm in the area. And I will tell you this, it's a spectacle. It's big, it's bombastic, it's lights, it's over the top. It's sort of silly. I totally admit that it's silly. I'm okay with that. But so are a lot of other forms of entertainment, right? They're silly, they're goofy. Pro wrestling gets a bad rap because there is this stereotypical idea of what a wrestling fan is. But I can tell you that stereotype, yeah, it's easy to show examples of what would prove the wrestling stereotype, but it's also easy to show examples of what would not prove it. And I think I would be the not proving it. I'm someone who makes a good living. I'm a professional. I think I have all my teeth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I read. I'm informed about the world. And occasionally I fall into watching pro wrestling. It's like a childhood thing. It's like, I think a lot of people are missing the hilarity and the sort of double-sidedness of being on a pinball forum. Like typing hundreds of posts a week on a pinball forum and saying, only idiots, redneck, dumb fools with no teeth are into pro wrestling. Dude, you're on a pinball forum. It's a box with a bunch of lights and little machines that throw a ball around and give you points for it. It's not curing any diseases. It's not making you a better person. It's a big toy box. So careful where you're throwing rocks in your glass house, sir. It's kind of like a Star Trek guy who goes to like Star Trek conventions, a Trekkie, like seeing somebody dressed up in line to go see the new Star Wars movie and making fun of him, seeing, oh, what a dork, he's going to see Star Wars. Like, come on now. Careful there, Mr. Pinside Forum poster, or some of the people posting on my Facebook page who are, I haven't had any real hate on my Facebook page yet. But so the WWF changed the WWE. They got sued by the World Wildlife Foundation and they lost in international court. So they changed their name. They changed it to WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, fully acknowledging that this is not a sports league, but is a entertainment company. They went public years ago. Their current market cap, if you're wondering like what the company's worth, if you take the number of shares outstanding versus what they're worth, is $907 million. It's almost $1 billion. If the stock goes up a little bit, it will be $1 billion company again. It has been $1 billion company at times. I think their last yearly revenue, like money brought in, was over $500 million. Their gross profit was almost $185 million. I think they're operating at a loss quarter to quarter right now because they've changed the way they do business. So how does wrestling make money? Well, they do live shows at arenas, and they do hundreds of shows a year. I'd have to look up how many shows they do a year, but I'm guessing somewhere between 250 and 300 shows a year. And they sell tickets. Obviously, that they have television deals. They are on the USA Network. They are generally one of the most watched cable shows of the week, every single week, every week. They have been running Monday Night Raw, their big TV show, for 13 years. Am I wrong on that? Maybe it's longer than that. No, it is longer than that. 15 years? 20? How long is WWE Raw? Raw years. I don't remember. It's been on TV every Monday night. Yeah, 20 years. Over 20 years. Every single Monday night. And it's been either a 2 to 3 hour show for 22 years. 22 years. They run 2 to 3 hours of original programming every single Monday night, and they're still one of the top rated shows every single week. So is this something that validates being a pinball theme just based on being a big business? Yeah, it is. WrestleMania. Tickets to WrestleMania. Because they're using WrestleMania as the theme for this. What is WrestleMania, right? You may not know. WrestleMania is their Super Bowl. It's their big end of the year huge show where all their scripted feuds and scripted characters that are going against each other and want to fight each other. This is where it all culminates. This is the final, this is Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant, finally. That happens every year in the spring, usually late March, early April. This year it's Sunday, March 29th at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California. That's where the 49ers play. That's their brand new stadium. Cities literally put in bid packages, tens of millions of dollars in tax breaks, in compensation, in discounts towards the arenas to get WrestleMania to come to their city. I know that Orlando has had it. I know that Detroit has had it, New York, New Orleans, Phoenix. These cities bid to get the WWE to bring WrestleMania as an event to their section. I'm looking at tickets right now for WrestleMania this year. They range in price from the cheapest ticket you can buy in the upper decks is $51 to a ringside seat for $2,031. Right? $2,031. I'm trying to see if there's any 2,000, because tickets went on sale to this event recently, to the 2015 WrestleMania, and I would like a full price $2,000 seat. There is one, so I can get a $2,000 seat still. They've not sold those out. Let's look at the $1,000 seats, which is the next section of seats. Looks like you can get one single seat in all these sections. And then when I try and get two, of course, Ticketmaster now does this where they resell you tickets they already sold. Such a scam. Don't even get me started. So it looks like you can get some tickets. Now, can I get the cheaper tickets? Say the $281 cheaper tickets. That's kind of gross to say that those are cheap tickets. These things are expensive. WrestleMania is a big deal. People come from all over the world. Keep that in mind, to come see WrestleMania. When I was in New Jersey a couple years ago at that WrestleMania, no, there are no $281 tickets available. Those are sold out. It offered me some $200 tickets. And I bet if I go down to the cheap tickets, they're probably mostly sold out. If I go to the $51 tickets and I search for two of them next to each other, it will tell me that there are no tickets. So they've sold a lot of tickets to something that's still 3 months away. It's at a big football stadium, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They'll be holding another show the next night, one of their Monday Night Raw shows. The next night in the same market, it'll be sold out. Wrestling's a draw. It's a worldwide draw. So for all these people saying it's not popular and it's done, you're wrong. Okay, so please inform yourself a little bit more before you spout off on the internet, which I know that's too much to ask. I do understand that is officially too much to ask. So I'm totally sitting here defending WrestleMania as a theme on a business level for Stern Pinball. Absolutely, 100%. I'm not discussing whether or not it's a good theme yet. We'll get into that. But is it a legitimate thing to go after? Absolutely. If you go to Target or Kmart or Walmart, you'll see WWE toys. Kids are into WWE. It's funny. Kids are buying their stuff and they have like cartoon stuff based on WWE. Their number one demographic, and I know this for a certain reason, but their number one demographic for watching their television show is actually people above 50 years old. 45 years old, I think. 45 and up is their number one TV demographic. It's people that have sort of grown up with wrestling and watched wrestling for years and years and years, are habitual usually. They're really into it. Look, I just told you, to get down close to the ring at WrestleMania this year, you're spending at least $1,000, if not $2,000. It's crazy. That's crazy. And they run all the time. They run all over the world. Hundreds of different countries have had, I shouldn't say hundreds, at least 100 countries have had a WWE or pro wrestling show. It's a big deal. I live in Southern California, where there's that Mexican lucha libre style wrestling, which is a big influence. So that also plays into, pro wrestling just as a thing. It's big in Japan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I believe, from a business standpoint, WWE and WrestleMania, as it's kind of, they're using that angle, kind of like they used Royal Rumble, which is another one of their big shows years ago for the Data East game. I think WrestleMania is a viable option. The WWE also makes money by selling pay-per-views. And they would do anywhere from between, like, a low-end pay-per-view might get like 70,000 pay-per-view sales at $40 to $60, up to like a big one like WrestleMania might get over a million buys of WrestleMania. A million. Like 850,000 was the last number I think I remember for a big WrestleMania. Now, that's shifted as they've started their own network. If you log into your Apple TV and you look around, you will find literally an icon for the WWE Network, its own pay-per-view, more like a Netflix-type subscription service where you can pay a monthly fee and get their shows, their pay-per-view shows now are on this network. You don't get to watch their TV shows like their Raw show, their Monday Night Raw, or their SmackDown show. Those are still on TV, cable networks, because they get tons of money from that. And then advertising is sold, and that's how commercial TV works, etc. But the WWE sells pay-per-views. Well, that's changing as they do their own app, because they see that as the future. It's kind of like HBO Go, that sort of thing. So I know that their business has changed a lot. The reason I know all this is my big roundabout, what I'm trying to get with you. I don't watch WWE every week. I watch it occasionally. I don't even think my DVR records it anymore. I used to watch it some. I'll watch the big matches sometimes. Here's what I do, though. I am sort of obsessed with a podcast, just like you're listening to this podcast. I'm obsessed with this podcast group that does podcasts about the wrestling business, because I've listened to it for literally almost a decade. There's a website called The Wrestling Observer, which a guy who writes basically a newsletter about pro wrestling. Well, anyway, he and his partner in his website do podcasts, like almost daily. And I listen to those. And I've been listening to them for a long time, and they're just part of my life. I download them on my phone. I listen to them. It's a pay service. I pay to listen to podcasts. Why won't you pay to listen to podcasts? I'm just kidding. I know why. You don't need to pay to listen to my podcast. But anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is that's how I keep up with wrestling on as a little side thing. I listen to these podcasts more about the business and about what's going on with it than I actually do watching the product, because I don't have a lot of time and their shows are too long. And yes, it does get a little old watching the same storylines on their shows repeat over and over again. So there, WWE is a top-down. If you didn't know anything about what WWE and WrestleMania is, it's scripted fake fighting with theatrics, with real athletes. I mean, these guys are athletes. These guys get hurt. These guys crush their bodies, have horrible surgeries, and it's rough. So, what do I think of WrestleMania as a theme for a pinball machine in 2015? I think it's okay. I don't think it's great. I think it is a little bit of an outlier. So it's going to be met with a lot of this stuff we're seeing in this 9-page thread about how it's all rednecks and nobody has all their teeth watch wrestling. Nobody's going to buy this. Oh, good, I don't have to buy a pinball machine now. Guess I can buy medieval. There's going to be some of that for sure. There's also going to be some people who will buy this game because of the theme, just like there was with Mustang, where there were Mustang guys and car guys who were like, yes, that's what I want. There's wrestling people like that, for sure. And I have emails, and I've met people at shows who are like, oh, man, I heard you're into wrestling, too. That's cool. Wrestling's like that dirty little secret. It's a guilty pleasure. And there will be people really into it because of that. I know that I am not alone in this. I've seen bands, like hipster bands. Teresa and I follow this band from Scotland called We Were Promised Jetpacks. They're a bunch of like 25-year-old kids playing, post-hardcore alternative rock and roll, and it's really cool music, great music, and we've gone and seen them all over the country. And they're an indie band. You probably never even heard of them. But the kid always wears a wrestling shirt, the guitar player, of one of the current wrestlers. Not a Hulk Hogan shirt, not an Andre, but a new one, like a Daniel Bryan, somebody you've probably never heard of. CM Punk, who is a wrestler that recently left their company and is now with the UFC. Brock Lesnar, who is a former WWE wrestler who went to the UFC, won the heavyweight championship, left the UFC, went back to wrestling, and now may go back to the UFC. So, all sorts of stuff of that. But that's a 25-year-old kid from Scotland touring the country in a pro wrestling shirt. So I see that out there. I see these shirts on people who are much younger than I am. So I know there is popularity. I get it. People don't like it. It's not a safe theme by any means. Guardians of the Galaxy, safe theme. It was a blockbuster movie. Who would hate Guardians of the Galaxy? No. Only somebody who's looking to hate something, which, yes, we know there are a lot of you. But only somebody who's actively looking to be, anti-something would be against a Guardians of the Galaxy as a theme. I guess you could say I'm burnt out on Marvel characters, I'm burnt out on superheroes, blah, 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 whatever. But we've got only so many things we're going to get. We know we're getting a licensed theme from Stern every time out. So what are we going to do? TV shows, movies, bands, cars? I mean, what else is there? So, I think Guardians of the Galaxy would still make a great theme. It's safe. I think that what's that? When Ant-Man's coming out, that's not well known enough. I know that we'd like to see probably some sort of Superman versus Batman theme. Those are all really safe themes. It's like that's the kind of theme, if you make a good game, you're probably going to have a good time selling that game. WWE is more difficult because there's a big section of the pinball fan who's already against you. Oh, I'm against you. I'm against you and your John Cena and your Triple H and Stephanie McMahon on the cab. I'm against you. This game better be fantastic, or I'm not even putting 50 cents in it to play it. So it's tougher, and it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out with distributors and how this plays out with those who look to buy LEs, because we know there's this collector market out there that wants these LEs, and people fight to get them, and speculate on if they're going to go up in value, down in value, etc. Mustang LEs didn't do well. They just didn't. We know that because we've seen how many people posted that they got them and that they're not out there. I know those didn't sell well. Whereas Walking Dead seemed to sell well, and there was a giant dust-up when premiums were announced. Will the WWE WrestleMania game sell a lot of LEs? I don't think so. I think that's going to be tough on that one. That's the risk I think Stern runs with something like WWE. Now, I like WWE WrestleMania as the theme just because it is different. Forget whether or not I have pro or negative wrestling theme thoughts. I like WWE as a theme, or WrestleMania as a theme, whatever it is, just because it's different. Because it's not a movie, it's not a comic book, it's not a band. It is something literally different. It's this other thing. It's really unique if you look at it. And I'm here to say that it's a way better theme for a pinball machine than Mustang. Let me say that again. WrestleMania is a way better theme than Mustang for a pinball machine. And here's why. WrestleMania, I don't care what your opinion is on it, I'm going to tell you what it is. It's driven by personalities and over-the-top characters. It's a character-driven entity, entertainment, whatever you want to call it. It's pro wrestling. Pro wrestling was massive for years in this country, and it swings up and down. It's all about who is in the wrestling at the time. And when you have a guy like they did in the late 90s, a Stone Cold Steve Austin come along, who was this anti-hero who's like, F the man, F the boss. He drew people in and the business got bigger. Or if you have Hulk Hogan, who was like the superhero in human form in the early 80s, mid-80s, come in, he made the business bigger. The Macho Man Randy Savage, you had all these personalities, The Undertaker, characters that have different levels and shades of good and bad, and wrestling fans talk about this all the time, is that characters get too one-dimensional and they're not deep enough, or they don't have enough flair to them, whatever. That's what pro wrestling's built on. And modern pro wrestling is really, a show. It's a spectacle. It's pyrotechnics. It's lights. It's music. There's a lot of that in pro wrestling. And I think that translates to pinball very, very well, because it is a spectacle. Mustang, as we saw, doesn't have the personality. It just doesn't. They're cool cars. Fine, they're cool cars. I'm not knocking Mustang or pro Mustang or negative on Mustang, just whatever. It's a cool car. It's a cool design. A lot of people put a lot of work into those cars, and it's a car theme, and cars seem like they should work really well in pinball, and they kind of do and have, but there's no personality to it. So you got a car on a platform, and we have to bring in this guy Tanner Faust from this show, the American version of this popular British version show, right? Top Gear, to talk, and it didn't come across like there was any real depth to it. Like there was no connection to the player and the theme. It just didn't. It's like literally I'm just playing a pinball machine. It didn't bring me into the experience. Teresa and I went to a bar in Point Loma, a neighborhood in San Diego today, and it's called the Harbor Town Pub. And they have 3 pinball machines, which I was really excited to see. A new location in San Diego with more than 1 or 2 pinball machines. They have Twilight Zone, they have an Indiana Jones Stern, and they have a Walking Dead. It's the first Walking Dead on location in the San Diego area. So I wanted Teresa to play it. I wanted to go play it myself. So we went down and played it. And she's been kind of negative on it. She doesn't want all the gore. She doesn't want all the scariness. But you know what? She loved it. She loved that game. I could tell she loved it because it drew her in. Even though she was the man, she said all the things that Pinside said. She said, "Oh, it looks kind of brown," or "Oh, it looks kind of boring." And she said, "What's with the guy's voice?" Like she said all that stuff. But she liked it because it created an atmosphere. Walking Dead has that. It has enough of the sound, the call-outs, the DMD, the music that creates this great atmosphere. Mustang did not have that. Mustang was like, here's some classic rock and roll songs from the United States of America, and here's your fast car noises, and we're going on a race, we're on pursuit, whatever. It just didn't have a depth of personality. I felt bad for John Trudeau because that layout and design is pretty cool. I actually have kind of grown to like that game from just a layout perspective. It's fast, it's brutal, it's kind of fun to step up and play that game. And it's close. I don't love it. It's close, but I do like it. But I felt bad that theme is sort of dragging that game down a little bit. So now John Trudeau's got WrestleMania. So he's got 2 themes in a row that are not safe, easy themes to sell games if you make a good game. You've got kind of these tougher sell themes. So I don't know what the playfield's going to look like. This one photo that we're seeing, you can sort of see a picture where there's clearly a wrestling ring on the diagonal, so it looks like a diamond pointing down towards you up in the back of the game. So we're getting an upper playfield. We're getting a WrestleMania ring, which is cool. I think that's such an easy, obvious thing to do, and you need to do that. But I'm hoping he makes a great game because if done correctly and with the music that's available, because wrestling's a lot of it's about the entrances. I've been to wrestling shows where I really felt like it was more time dedicated to the dudes walking out to the ring than actually the wrestling in the ring. That's sort of the modern product on some levels. But if you take all the music and have cool lighting effects and do it right, you can have this very kind of charismatic game. Something very filled with personality. I mean, I'm looking at the underneath of this playfield. There's a lot going on that. I got to say, there's a lot. I got to find that other photo so I can look at it. So I think it's a better theme than Mustang just because of what you have available to you to use. You have characters. You've got John Cena. You've got Brock Lesnar. You've got Kane, the evil demon Kane. You've got Triple H. You've got these characters like you do in like a superhero movie. You've got characters to use. You've got their music. You've got their moves. You've got their call-outs. I would assume that WWE is going to have these guys do call-outs for the game. One nice thing about wrestling is they are sort of always trying to be more accepted, I think, on some level. And with that can bring you, the guys stepping forward to help out more. They've got a couple of their newer, younger wrestlers on the back box of the game, on the translate. A guy named Roman Reigns, and who's like a part Samoan heritage, and then a guy named Bray Wyatt, who's sort of this creepy, evil Southern, like, bearded guy with a fedora, and he's supposed to be like a Southern evil preacher guy who takes you into his clan to do bad things. And then they've got Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and Triple H, who are all big, long-term stars for the company. So they're going to be trying to use this on some level, I would guess, to promote their brand and their product and try and sell you on wrestling being exciting and fun and cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. A little part of me is a wrestling fan at heart. I want it to be awesome. I don't connect with modern wrestling like I do when I did when I was younger. I, of course, would love to see a Legends of WrestleMania pinball machine where it's Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and Andre the Giant and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Macho Man Randy. I would love that. I think that'd be cool. But that's not what WWE is trying to promote what they're currently selling. Remember, $900 and some million market cap on stock exchange. So they've got, their ideas of what they want themselves. John Trudeau, he got a lot of time to work on this game. He's been working on this game for a while. He was working on this game 7, 8, 9 months ago. I'm trying to do the timeline on it. Quite a while back. So I'm excited to see what he can do, what Dr. Flash can do with this one. I defend it. I think it's a better theme than Mustang. I think it's a tougher theme than The Walking Dead, no doubt. But I think if people can just take a look at it, and hey, look, I'm the first one to say, if a theme's a dud for you, I totally get it. I'm not hating on you for not liking it as a theme. I'm trying to look at it from a top-down point of view, more of like, not just for you, guy who hates wrestling, or you, guy who loves wrestling, but more for the 10,000 of you and the section of you that really don't care. That's kind of what I'm wondering how this works out. So if you didn't care about Mustang and you really just judge Mustang on its theme integration, its playability, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that's interesting to me. I try and look at games like that, and I'm interested to see that happen with WrestleMania, because I think it's kind of a bold move, but not one that's surprising to me, really, because they have a ton of people. They have millions of people watching their television show every week. If you look at it worldwide, it's millions and millions of people, like millions and millions and millions of people. People spend money on the product. It's I don't know. I think it could be okay. I think it's hilarious looking at the people hating on it and acting like they're so above such a dorky thing as wrestling when they're literally spending half their day sitting on a pinball website. No offense, pinball websites, but I'm trying to give a little perspective here. It brings up the old conversation that we have. Theme versus, gameplay and layout. What's more important? I think a lot of people will say, if I'm going to buy it and put it in my house, the theme has to resonate with me on some level, and I agree with that. But a lot of people would also say, you know what? I don't really love the theme of whitewater rafting, but Whitewater's a great game with awesome, integration of the ideas that they had for the theme and the way it sounds and looks and lights up and plays and makes me happy when I hit those shots, so I like the game, right? Right? On the same subject, but on a different side of the subject, I gotta say, it's sort of disappointing to watch Stern fumble another announcement of a game so badly. Stern is the big boys in our industry. They're the ones that are like, hey, we're the only pinball manufacturers. And then it's, well, hey, we're the biggest manufacturers. So you would hope that the industry leaders, certainly, if nothing else, they are the industry leaders, would be able to bring an announcement of a new pinball machine to market with a little more pizzazz than a Facebook post of Gary Stern walking through their CES booth, the Consumer Electronics Show, and them saying, hey, in a couple hours we're going to announce the game, only to be completely upstaged by random posts on Pinside with pictures of the game with the playfield up and wires showing, and the back glass on the side. I mean, come on. It makes me feel bad for them, like really feel bad for them to, post this thread unveiling our newest game at CES, and you read the comments, and it's like, I mean, maybe they're doing market research here, I don't know, but it's like, everyone's like, Kiss, Ghostbusters, Golden Girls, all these things, and then somebody posts WWE, and it's like, no, can't be that. And then people post the photos, and the replies are like, WrestleMania? ? Like, what? And then wrestling, and just, they get hammered, like, because they just didn't do it with, like, I don't know, a plan. It looks like there's no plan to announce this game. It's like, oh, hey, CES is this weekend. Are we taking a game? Oh, we're taking a game. Well, hey, people are going to know that there's a game so we should probably post about it. And you get this awkward shot of a dude's hat and head and sunglasses in the foreground with Gary Stern talking to somebody in the background. It's a little, I don't know, it's amateurish, a little too amateur for my taste, for the market leaders, for the world's biggest producers of pinball machines. I would like to see a countdown every time, a countdown page. Guess, the next Stern is coming, and then as you get closer, maybe a few hints if you want to play that game, and then the big reveal with the full playfield shot, so it's none of this, cell phone camera photographs nonsense. It just drives me nuts. It's like, if I didn't already have a career, I could fix that for them, I think. This is where you have to say, Stern, look at what Dutch Pinball did with the Big Lebowski. Do that. Do that. I know you're busy. I know you're busy selling and making a bunch of machines, but I know you have smart people in that company who are marketing heads, who are on social media. If you don't, call me. We'll talk. We'll figure it out. We will launch your games better. We'll get it ready. We'll not let you get upstaged by Pinside every time. It's sort of a bummer to see this keep happening. Walking Dead, it was, the DVD hits with the little ad for Stern Pinball Machine. It's like, come on, can you launch your own game? And manage expectations. That's the other thing is, don't let people get so excited about all this other stuff and then let them down when it's something else. I don't know. It just drives me a little crazy. And I know I'm not the only one that thinks that way, because I've had other people say that to me. So, anyway, that was my side rant for the night.
Trip reports.
All right, so it's actually trip reports with a plural S in parentheses at the end. I needed to do this show a while back because I had a great trip report to talk about in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, while Teresa and I were out in the Midwest visiting her family for the holidays. I drove down to stay with a buddy of mine in Oklahoma City, play a little bit of golf on the day after Christmas in Oklahoma. Golf, outdoors, 54 degrees. It was awesome. And that evening, my buddy Robin, his girlfriend Lisa, and I made the trek down to Cactus Jack's Family Amusement Center, I believe is the official name, but Cactus Jack's as we'll call it. And I think I did a trip report way back like a year ago on Cactus Jack's when I last went there. And I have met Dan, who owns Cactus Jack's there, and then at another show since then. And I was really excited to get to go back and check it out, because at the time I called his collection there one of the best kept and finest collection of DMD era pinball machines in the country. So a year later, I've gone to all these other places around the country, seen other collections, seen shows. I'm here to report it is still one of the finest and best kept pinball collections from the DMD era in the entire country. 45 or so games right now. I don't know the exact number. I didn't do a count, but all the new stuff is there, which is really exciting, from The Walking Dead to Metallica, AC/DC. I don't know if I saw a Mustang there. I don't think there's a Mustang there. But that's okay. Amazing set of games. America's Most Haunted was there, which was very cool. I gotta say, these games are in fantastic shape. If you're in Oklahoma, if you're in Kansas, if you're in Texas, know that in Oklahoma City, just waiting for you, is a fantastic collection up at Cactus Jack's. When I got there, I got an email from Sean, who is big in the Oklahoma area pinball world. He's the organizer of the Oklahoma Pinball Enthusiasts and the tournament organizer for their IFPA events. And he was actually there with Dan when I got to CJ's and went and introduced myself. Dan was wearing a Coast2Coast Pinball t-shirt. That makes me happy. So that was cool. And I got to hang out with them, got to play some pinball. We played America's Most Haunted, which was actually turned off when I got there. They just had a little ball trough error, I think, that we had to correct. So we got that going in like a couple minutes, got the game going. The game played great, played fast. It was a lot of fun, played some other games. All his games are just in fantastic shape. There's a great Champion pub there. I played quite a bit of his X-Men game. I'm like really looking at X-Men lately. I've been considering buying an X-Men. It's like X-Men, Metallica. What do I want? Do I want an AC/DC Premium? Like, I want a Stern game so badly. Do I want a Walking Dead? So I've been just kind of playing all these games and trying to decide if one of these is for me. Played his Iron Man Vault Edition, also fantastic. So had a lot of fun. My friends Robin and Lisa don't play a lot of pinball at all, like ever. And they're quite a bit older than I am. They're like, think late 50s, early 60s in age. And we're having a little bit of trouble with America's Most Wanted because it's hard, it's fast. And I asked Dan, I said, so tell me what the easiest game in here is. And because he knows the reports on ball time and things like that he gets off all the games. And he said, without a doubt, Austin Powers. Go play Austin Powers. And he was right. He was so right. We went and played a 3-player game on Austin Powers, and it went a long time. Everyone had a lot of fun. That's what you got to do with newbies. You got to get them on a game that has long ball times, and they can feel like they're actually getting stuff done and accomplishing tasks and making it happen. And so we did that, and Robin and Lisa had a great time playing that. They had a lot of fun. There's pool tables at Cactus Jack's. There's like your kind of modern ticket redemption machines over on the kind of the family fun center side of Cactus Jack's, but man, it is pinball. Since I was last there, he expanded out the back and added in more machines, and which used to be a storage area. So there's even more games. Just one of the best collections. A-list titles just all around you. A-list titles in fantastic shape, in an easy place to get to park. It's right off the freeway. I cannot say enough about Cactus Jack, so please go and support someone. If you're making the drive through that area, if you're on Interstate 40, crossing the country and you've got an hour to spare, find Cactus Jack's, go play there. We've got to support the people who are actually, putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to pinball as a location hobby and exciting thing to do. So really, really thrilled with that. Also, on the trip reports, I mentioned earlier talking about WrestleMania, I mentioned I went to Nickel City with Teresa. That's a lot of fun. They've got a Wizard of Oz game there. They've got an Indiana Jones Stern. They have a diner. They have a WWF Royal Rumble. There's a Simpsons pinball party. There's a South Park. And I believe I'm missing a game. Oh, Lethal Weapon 3 also there. So if you're in San Diego, that's the most games on location. And then today we went and checked out the Harbortown pub with their Twilight Zone, which I immediately, on ball one of my game, got a ball stuck. I've never even seen a ball stuck where this got stuck up back behind the two ramps in the back of the game, and it just had to be turned off. They also have an Indiana Jones by Stern, which was turned off, unfortunately. Come on, folks. Come on. And then they have the Walking Dead Pro. So been out trying to play location pinball. I think it's important. Contrary to one Pinsider's belief, I think that it's not the only place to play pinball. I think that it's perfectly fine to play pinball at home. Turning around in my office here, looking at my Bride of Pinbot. Thank you, Barry, for the replacement MPU board. My friend Barry brought me a board, and it works great now. So I can't thank him enough for that. I do appreciate it. It's working like $1 million. Actually, I'm kind of reinvigorated on Bride of Pinbot and sort of starting to have thoughts of, man, maybe I buy the Dutch Pinball Bride of Pinbot 2.0 kit. Maybe I need to do that and just make this thing all tricked out and have the new game. I've been watching the videos and following that really closely and seeing as those game kits, are starting to ship through Europe, and now the first ones are trickling out into the United States. It's good to see the Dutch Pinballs getting that project, going. I think that will help restore some of the lost confidence by some of the folks who've been watching the stuff go on at Dutch Pinball. And two, I've been really watching to see what the gameplay's like and what's going on with that kit. Because I've played the kit a couple times, but I've played it at shows where I just wasn't focused. I generally was talking with people or had people that want to talk to me or was trying to get audio from someone. And I didn't really have any time to really dig into Bride of Pinbot 2.0 and look at everything that it does. And I know that they're not done with the code. They're still building the code, and I know there's more to come, but it was interesting to watch some of the videos from people who've gotten it installed in their Bride of Pinbot now and see how the shots interact with the DMD, because the dots that they've programmed for the 2.0 kit are fantastic. I mean, it's really good. I like the music. I know there were some people complaining about the music maybe changed or wasn't this or wasn't that. I really like the music they put in there. It sort of feels like a creepy Doctor Who sort of eerie space kind of sound. I think the woman doing the voice of the 2.0 is pretty cool. I think that works out well. I like the color dots are just really good. I know I just said that, but it's fantastic looking at the animations they've got going on for that. It looks to be centered around starting the multi-ball through shooting, I believe, the heartbeat ramp to light the locks, and then shooting the shuttle ramp to lock the balls. And past that, I didn't see what else was there. And that's what I'm waiting to kind of look at, is where else they're going. And hopefully I can get in touch with the Dutch Pinball folks soon, and they can maybe chart out some of that for me. Because that's going to be, for me, probably what would be the deciding factor for me on Bride of Pinbot 2.0. If I would be in or out on that for sure, would be how deep are they going with those rules? What's it actually play like? What's incorporated? But anyway, so that's what I'm looking at on that game right now. And in some other news to my location here, Coast2Coast Pinball Studios, on a truck, ready to be delivered tomorrow, Monday afternoon, is my America's Most Haunted. So the holidays screwed me up. I should have had it, if Charlie and I worked on when to have it shipped, and I was really conservative. I didn't know when I'd be back from Oklahoma. And it'll be here tomorrow on Monday, and I cannot wait, and I'm sure you'll hear all about it, right? Right.
Check the email.
This show's gone on too long, but I don't care. We have emails to answer. So, all right, let's dig right into this. Let me start from the back side of this. I pulled some emails out to read. All right, this is from Alex. He says, "Hi from Germany. Dear Nate, I stumbled across your wonderful podcast. Wonderful pod, thank you. A little while ago, I wanted to say thank you for what you're doing. Keep the good work. Thanks for letting us participate on what's on your mind when it comes to Wonderful World of Pinball. The recent Metallica versus AC/DC showdown was the sort of segment that I would love you to have more often on the show, since it was great to have your detailed thoughts on these machines, be it gameplay, theme, or overall design aspects. This showdown has so much to offer and possible contrans. I think we have a translation issue there. Are to find everywhere. Anyway, for example, I think he's saying possible contestants are everywhere. Ballyfathom versus William Baracora come to mind immediately. I live in Berlin, and a while ago my family and myself moved to a bigger place, which finally allows me to have pinball machines at home, additional to playing pinball machines in bars or bowling alleys, which I still do on a weekly basis. Therefore, I really enjoy your trip reports on the podcast. My recent 3 machines are Williams Taxium Firepower, accompanied by a Bally Xenon. There are many pinball enthusiasts in Berlin and Germany in general. Since pinball machines are not that common in public places anymore, you find clubs of pinball and arcade machine owners every here and there. For your future podcast, my best wishes. Best regards, Alex. Alex, thank you. If you want to get your email read on my show, be from a foreign country. Right? That's the lesson I think we learned tonight on Coast2Coast Pinball. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, that's great to hear. I pulled that out because it's interesting to hear him say that there are many pinball enthusiasts in Berlin and in Germany in general. That's awesome. And he's got awesome machines. Taxi, Firepower, and Xenon. I mean, classics. So, and he has fantastic taste in podcast. So to that, I thank you, Alex. Good to hear from you. Mr. Jones, which is not Mr. Jones, it's actually MR Jones. We've had this discussion on the show before. Well-written email, so I've pulled this email out. We as a community have been told... Oh, excuse me. The subject. Boutique Brouhaha, Pre-Order Panic, Homebrew Hullabaloo. I think he's trying to name my episodes for me. Here we go. We as a community have been told that the remedy to the perceived cost-cutting and code ignoring at stern in the interminable... I hate that word. I've never been able to say that word. Interminable delays and high prices at Jersey Jack Pinball would be the rise of the small build manufacturers. Companies run by people with stars in their eyes instead of dollar signs who would make no compromise machines at reasonable prices to show the big boys how it's done. They've built up lots of goodwill from small yet loyal followings, taken tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in deposits, and after a couple of years, we should be swimming in future A-list titles. And then he's making fun of me as he goes on to say, so yeah. that hasn't worked out like we'd hoped. He goes on, you've done a good job of highlighting the bumps other manufacturers have faced, but now adding that Dennis Nordman's leaving Highway before Alien comes out and The Big Lebowski is apparently a giant pile of not following licensing rules, which I think we've debunked that. He says, it's really tempered my enthusiasm for pinball's resurgence, at least on the manufacturer side. Looking back, the only team to really have a fairly smooth run is Spooky, with an unlicensed table, but they still haven't sold out of what's a fairly limited run on a mid-priced game. How are new companies supposed to survive when licensing can be onerous, and unlicensed tables don't seem to get the immediate interest and pre-orders needed to get off the ground? I think the reason Highway is rushing Alien out the door is to make up for lack of interest in Full Throttle. They need to start building games. I have another email about licensing pinball, but I'm trying to shorten it a bit. Thanks for the time. All right, MR Jones. So let's look at that. I think, okay, so the Dutch pinball thing, I believe, according to what Roger Sharp said on the show a few episodes back, the licensing thing does not seem to be the issue that people started fearing that it possibly could have been. The Dennis Nordman leaving Highway thing, there could be lots of stuff at play there. I really feel that that's probably two guys with different ideas of how to just run things and do things, just not quite lining up right there. That sounds like to me. I've actually emailed a tiny bit with Andrew Highway, and he will be coming on the show at some point. We're just working on a time frame to do that. So I think that is what it is. I don't think that's going to really hinder Highway Pinball at all, especially since we saw Barry Arsler now kind of stepping in to be that kind of design name at the company. Skitby obviously is having some issues getting games built. I know that's going to be interesting to watch. And then Spooky, with an unlicensed table, haven't sold out of the game. It's funny because that's the risk reward, and we've talked about this on the show before. You do a licensed theme like Predator, and you're going to sell a lot of games to people just because it's a cool theme. And hey, it's pinball, right? All pinball's good on some level. How bad could the game possibly be, right? Because people were buying Predator before they ever saw what Skippy was going to do with it. And it's an awesome theme that I love. So you sold games just on that alone. Spooky took this other approach of, hey, we've got this game designed by Ben Heck with this interesting theme. It's unlicensed. It's about ghosts, and it's about a reality show looking for ghosts. And that was a tougher sell for people because there was nothing for anybody to latch onto because A, it's an unlicensed theme that they just weren't latching onto. But B, nobody played anything on it. So whereas people say, I love unlicensed themes like Medieval Madness and Whitewater and whatever. I love unlicensed themes. We want more new, fresh, unlicensed themes. Give me Champion Pub. Well, hey, let's be real here. You like those unlicensed themes because you've already played them and gotten to know them. You've decided that those layouts are good and fun to play and rewarding to you as a player, as a coin drop, as an owner, whatever. You can't do that with a new boutique game unless you go play it somewhere. And Spooky Pinball has done what they can to get America's Most Haunted out into shows, but that's a limited customer base that actually can go to those shows. So if you don't line up exactly with where that game's going, because I think that game's only been at Midwest Gaming Classic. I think it's been at the York show. It was at Expo. I'm gonna cough here. Excuse me, pausing for the cough. Sorry, I am still really sick. So Spooky has only been able to get that game out to a few places, and to match up with potential buyers, it just takes time. And I think they've shipped less than 25 games. My game's literally here in California, waiting to get to my house tomorrow. Not many people have played the game, and I think they're in this weird situation with what's going to happen, and I predict this. Every time somebody new gets the game, some more people are going to see it and play it. And that'll be different for everyone. I'm trying to figure out a way. I don't want to tip my hat too much. I would like to do some sort of like San Diego, Orange County, San Diego based, launch celebration party for America's Most Haunted. I would like to do that for Spooky Pinball to kind of celebrate their hard work, help out the local pinball community, get to play what I think is a very fun, very great game when my game gets here. So I'm working on that because I want to try and help. I want to do what I can. So I think that'll happen around other places too. As more people play it, people are going to see, oh, this isn't just some little garage-built game. This is really fun. This is interesting. All that, weird talk about how the call-outs were childish and amateurish, people weren't realizing that's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be goofy. People are going to get this game as they see this game, and there will be I think a light bulb moment for a lot of people going, they're only going to build 150 of these, and then it's gone. I should buy this. And if you were sitting there on the fence for the next Stern game, thinking, well, if I really like it, I'm going to buy it, and you don't like WrestleMania, and that's just a theme you will not buy, and you're looking for a game, I mean, Spooky Pinball with America's Most Haunted is going to all of a sudden become a big player for you. So I think they're going to end up selling all their games, and there'll probably be a vacuum for that game, actually. That's my prediction. So, so to circle back around, it is hard right now because with this growth in pinball, with this kind of rise in the amount of money willing to be thrown at games and new games and something fun and fresh, people saw that and people got in the game and competitions. That's where Spooky Pinball came from. That's where Skit B came from. That's where Dutch Pinball came from. These things pop up, and the real hardcores, the people who A, have the money, and B, are willing to spend it early, that's a finite amount. That's not expanding at the same rate as our hobby in the industry. The people who are willing to go join a league and play pinball and get on Pinside and talk about pinball and save up $1,500 to buy, a beat-up, broken-down Tales from the Crypt, that group, I think, is expanding very quickly. But the group that's willing to spend $8,000 on a new game, that's a smaller group of people. So we run into this sort of weird, push-pull where, more. Oh, we can't do that. Now you have the instance of something like Metallica comes out where it's just a home run from Stern, and boy, it sold well. It sold really well. AC/DC sold really, really well, and that probably hurt some of these boutique and small companies trying to then jump out and go, us too. Where when it was, X-Men was just the only thing I was talking about and complaining about the code, and then Avengers comes out and it's kind of a dud. People were looking, well, what else could I buy? Well, Stern's had a few good games in a row now. And we have Medieval Madness being rebuilt in fantastic fashion. So it's really tough right now if you're a small build company to maneuver that and to be able to get the cost of the project to work so you can make money on it. I won't give behind the scenes numbers or details, but listening to one new manufacturer talk about their profits per game, pretty small. I don't think people are getting rich here, and people get stars in their eyes and sees, if they sell, 300 of these at $7,000 or $8,000 or $9,000, look at all that money. Well, what it costs to get there? I think a lot of these projects are started with, well, hey, if we can get our foot in the door and sell a few hundred of this first one, then the next one we have a firmer spot, and maybe we don't have to do a pre-sale on the next one. Maybe we just pull back the curtain and, hey, here's our game. If you want it, we have 100 of them coming out in the next 3 weeks. Let's go. That's going to be when somebody really changes the game, I think, on these smaller companies, is when somebody can say, we built a game, we designed a game, maybe even not let anybody see it. Not do the slow reveal, but just do the curtain reveal. Here's our game. We have them. We have 20 of them now. If you want those, send your money. The next 20 are coming. Wouldn't that be cool if somebody did that? Maybe Dutch Pinball's next game, it's just here it is. Or Spooky Pinball builds 15 games of something and just sells them all right. I don't know. I don't know how that ends up looking. It's a small industry, and we kind of all know what's coming. But it is tough. It's an interesting thing to think about, and I don't know if the small companies are going to be the savior. I think that what's going to happen, though, which is good, is all these new games coming out, and Stern's selling more games every year than the year before, which seems to be happening. It's going to lower the prices on older games, and we saw that with EMs had really bottomed out, where EMs were selling, from operators $100 to $300 at a time period. And now, your average GM machine probably trades for in the $400 to $800 range, somewhere in that. And that's very generalistic across all EMs. I'm not talking about collector quality or junk, or just average. So that's going to start happening with, high-run games from the 80s and in the 90s. We're already seeing games that, I remember at the height of the price run, you saw a game like even Junkyard was $5,000, and I just saw one sell for $2,600. So that's probably what's going to happen, which is good because people can buy those games and appreciate those games, love those games, and get excited about pinball, and then eventually, build themselves up to wanting to buy new in box. Because not only is there a money thing about buying a brand new pinball machine, there's also sort of a, do I deserve a new in-box pinball machine? And I had it, and other, friends of the show that I talked to about buying games have had it where they said, oh, no, I'm not comfortable ordering a game to show up on a pallet in a box. They think that their only way to buy pinball machines is off Craigslist, off eBay, where they go and they pick up a machine, throw it in their truck, and bring it home. The thought of spending $5,000 or $6,000 or $10,000 on a brand new game is just crazy to them. But you get over that eventually because you buy enough, you flip enough, you start getting comfortable with just pinball in general. So, anyway, in any case, great email, MR Jones. Appreciate you listening. Joe Zenkus, we're going to give Joe a little feedback time here. On episode 126, as messed up of a situation as this is referencing Dutch pinball, I'm assuming? Yes. I do hope they succeed because I want to see a large batch of Lebowski pins made. And if what Phil revealed was true, that the next theme is Back to the Future, I will probably sell half my collection and finance it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. It's not Back to the Future. I don't think they know what the next theme is, honestly. And that's just, for me, talking with multiple people at Dutch Pinball, I don't think they know what their next theme is for sure. I think they have ideas. I don't think it will be Back to the Future for reasons that are just to do with the license. I think that's a tough license to deal with, and I don't think that will be it. But I could be wrong. Joe goes on to say, as far as pinball startups, I disagree. You need startup money. There's nearly a dozen custom pinballs at Chicago Expo every year now. Most who do it just to see if they can. People like Wrath of Olympus are exactly how startups should happen. Make a virtual pinball, plays good and looks cool, build a sample whitewood for around $3,000 in parts like everyone else, bring it to a show. If people like it, take a small deposit, say $500, just like a Harley dealer would, so they know you're serious. Get enough buyers to sign up. Use an established and trusted contract pinball manufacturers to build them for you. Stern is very good at figuring out bills and material right down to the penny. You figure out what the manufacturer is going to charge you to build and ship out. You figure out what your time was worth developing it, and you put a price out there. Price out the difference, no drama. I don't totally agree with that. I don't see there's a big jump in there, Joe. The problem is going from the $500 deposits on some games to a contract pinball manufacturer to build them for you. That costs a lot of money. You probably couldn't do that. You're missing a step in there. At some point, you've got to get money. I can't roll into a company down the street that maybe builds, airline parts or, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of what somebody might build that could possibly contract out to a pinball machine, like somebody that builds generators, industrial generators, something like that. I can't roll in there with, say I got $500 per game and I need 100 games. So that gives me, I can't do math. It's math with Nate on Coast to Coast Pinball again. I thought we'd stopped this forever, but we've not. All right, $500 times 100 games. So thanks to my little calculator here. That's $50,000. Play along. I'm good at this. So I can't roll in to a contract manufacturer and say, hey, I need 100 of these things. How much are they going to cost? And they're going to tell me, well, those things are going to run you $2,850. Or they're going to cost you $3,500. So I have $50,000, but these 100 games are going to cost me, let's say, $3,500 a piece. That's $350,000. I can't float them $50,000 on a $350,000 build. It's just not going to happen. And it may be that I can't just build 10 of them to start with this contract. I don't think that works. I think there's a gap in there somewhere. I think that on a small scale, you could take small deposits and build a few games, but I think you wind up in the Skip B situation where, oh my gosh, we have to build a couple hundred games in our basement. And that's frightening. That is absolutely frightening. So I think you need to get more money up front, or you need to have financial backing if you ever want to get the scale up. It's all about, how do you get to that next level where you're building hundreds of something. Now, are there banks and lenders and business loans and all that available? Yeah, sure, maybe. But I have friends who tried to put businesses together, and it's not that easy. So I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I think that the pre-order scenario is going to be your main way, apart from outside financing, to get new games built. I don't see another way unless you have a bunch of money somehow, or you have somebody willing to fund you with a bunch of money. Also, Joe goes on to say, episode 127, I could listen to Roger Sharp for hours. Probably out of all the people in the pinball industry, he's my favorite, period. He ran Williams during the best time period. He discredited pinball as a gambling device, and he has a great vision. He's good at what he does, which is licensing, and the stories you hear where Police Force was not only going to be Batman, but it was going to be promoted through other venues. You see some of that with Black Knight 2000, where they did a contest to win a pinball via the movie Little Monsters. There's a link to that topic on Pinside. I'm sure others will speak up, but I, for one, would love him as a regular guest on the show as much as his sons. It was sons. Zach's never been on the show. Come on, let's be real clear. Josh comes on the show and listens. Zach doesn't care. It was so good to finally hear him talk about how Stern rested on their laurels and sat back and put out mediocre product. It wasn't until they had competition that they stepped up their game in the last 3 to 4 years. The off-topic interruptions are welcome. Great shows and great short notice covers. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Yeah, I think Roger will be back on the show. I had an awesome time talking with Roger on the show, and I had a almost, if not better, time talking to him after the show. And it is cool to get sort of, because, look, I don't want to talk to anybody about the last day at Williams. I don't. And this goes back to why I started this show. Everybody's done that interview. Everybody's had that conversation. The day that they closed down Williams. Okay, we know. And it's a big thing that is important in the history of pinball. But I don't feel the need to rehash it on Coast to Coast Pinball. I'm not interested, actually. Go watch the documentaries. Go listen to Topcast. By all means, it's out there. Probably done better than I can do it. But what I do love is somebody who was there commenting on what is happening now. That is interesting to me. I don't want to go talk to John Papaduke about, his first day at Williams. I want to talk to John Papaduke about, why did you do this in the back end of Magic Girl? That's where I'm at. And that's what's awesome about Roger, is Roger has seen all these different eras of pinball. He's been a top player. He's been involved from the licensing and business side of it. He's done all this other stuff. And then to get him to talk about, what's actually happening now, that's interesting. And if that's not interesting, then find another podcast, because you and I don't see eye to eye. Not you, Joe, but just you, whoever's listening to me. Let's see. All right, what else we got? Keith wrote me, Nate, hope all's well with you. I can't believe this eBay listing. It looks like all the hedgers are jumping ship maybe too early. I, for one, do not buy machines because of the potential worth, but because I enjoy playing them. What's next? Will we see Monster Bashes selling for sub 7K? Regards. Keith sent me a link to a eBay ad, which is currently still on eBay, and is in the Fort Lauderdale, Florida area. It is an Attack from Mars pinball machine, South Florida, fully shopped, 6-month warranty, free local delivery. It's a pretty clean Attack from Mars. It looks nice. Heavy faded cab on one side. One side doesn't look that faded. Playfield, man, I'm trying to look at this, look for any wear. I don't see, the scoop has a little bit. All in all, this is a pretty clean Attack from Mars. I certainly, would put this in my house. New leg levelers, components checked for proper function, playfield's clean and polished. So, okay, big deal, right? Well, here's the kicker. Buy it now, $6,900. It's pretty cheap, right? That's pretty cheap. So, this is all obviously referencing the idea that Planetary Pinball Supply and Chicago Gaming is going to announce the next remake game being Attack from Mars, which, I've all but confirmed that, right? I think we know that that's happening. Probably by Texas, we'll have that locked and loaded for Attack from Mars coming out to follow Medieval Madness. And you're seeing now the price drops. We saw it on Medieval Madness, and now ahead of Attack from Mars, somebody is selling a game for underneath what they think the new remade games are going to sell for. So that's interesting. And then Keith asked about Monster Bash. I don't know if Monster Bash will be out next. I don't know if that's happening for sure. That I've not confirmed. That I've actually heard might not happen. So we don't know. We don't know. It is interesting. That's a good price. That's low for where that game's been. In pretty good shape there. So if you're in Florida, you're looking for Attack from Mars for right now, there's one waiting for you. So very good. Appreciate the heads up on that, Keith. What else we got? Alexander wrote, I'm just going to go ahead and assume you aren't a fan of Fox News. Now, why would you assume that, Alexander? Do I use too many big words? Do I have too much of a grasp of the world around me in the English language? Just kidding. Good assumption, Alexander. But there was a great segment this morning on the comeback of pinball. I bet there'll be a link soon. Thought you should know. I'm not going to talk politics on this show. Won't do it. Nothing good can come of that. I did see the link to the story that Fox News did on the resurgence of pinball, and I just couldn't click on it. I'm sure it was great. Brian writes me, "Hey Nate, good wrap up of the year. How about getting some airtime for the operators out there? For all of Gary's talk about pins needing to be on the street, I thought it was pretty sad that the only talk at Expo related to pins in public locations were all about operating pinball museums, or maybe operators don't like sharing their secrets. What's the deal? I know there are several operators out there that have been operating for a while. Pinaholic in New York, Blair Alley in Portland, 82 in LA, Donovan in Colorado, Doug at Papa, and hey, how about the Barcades? Trademark, question mark? Are they keeping interest up? Do they have player complaints they want to address?" All right, Brian, great email. Timely email. So when I was at Cactus Jack's in Oklahoma City, I asked straight up to Dan. I said, "Dan, how's it going?" Because I'll be honest with you, when I saw Dan earlier in 2014, he had some concerns. I think he said, I put a lot of money into all these games over the years, collecting these games, and put them out. They're awesome. Kind of hoping people were going to flock to me. And I at the time said, I hope they do. I hope they come around. And so fast forward 9 months forward into December 2014, I said, "So how's it going?" And he said, "It's going great." He said, "It's going really well. There were people in there playing while we were there. They've got the leagues. They've got Sean working on the club. Things seem to be going pretty good at Cactus Jack's." That's in Oklahoma City. I was just at Modern Pinball NYC. I got to speak with both Steves, Steve Epstein and Steve Zoller, and also Al Pinaholic, and I asked everyone how it's going, and everyone was pretty positive. New York City's a tough one. The rent in New York City, I don't know their numbers or business. I'm just speaking generally about New York City, and I deal with some guitar stores in New York City. And one account that owns their store building and one that rents their building. And I know how difficult it can be to be in New York City. Modern Pinball is on 3rd Avenue near 26th Street. That's a pretty nice neighborhood. It's near the little India district with all the Indian restaurants. Pretty high traffic area. Rent has got to be crazy high. So good for them may not be good for, may be fantastic for somebody else if you looked at earnings and plays and everything. They're based on a flat entrance fee or hourly type deal. They seem to be doing good. Steve Zoller told me that he had brought up some new ideas of bringing tours in and kids in and doing things like that to sort of raise awareness, get more parties. There was actually at the Dutch Pinball Big Lebowski launch event at Modern Pinball, in the back room, there was a half-eaten birthday cake back there that we were all making jokes about, getting a little piece of from a kid's birthday party. So they were looking at other ways to use pinball as a drawing for business and commerce and getting money going. They seem positive there. Al has helped with the collection in there, and I know he operates games all over the New York City area. He is one of the most dedicated people to pinball as a hobby and getting those games out there. And he said that some of his games around town are just earning fantastic. He's got games in different places in Brooklyn and whatnot. So it seems like New York City's doing well. I know I spoke to John from Reciprocal Skateboards and Jack Bar in Brooklyn. Spoke to him it's probably 3 months back now. We were at a different launch party, a Walking Dead launch party, and I asked him how things were going. He said it was great. He said Jack Bar's been killing it in Brooklyn. Things are awesome. They're a really great Facebook follow. If you're looking for more pinball things to follow on Facebook, find Jack Bar. They post lots of funny little kind of photos, and their signs oftentimes have hilarious sayings on them. There's sort of a New York, Brooklyn attitude along with pinball and that I really like. He seemed really positive. So I'm hearing a lot of positive stuff. I actually did just reach out to Molly at 82 in LA. Would love to have her on the show. Don't know if we're going to do that right away. But she is, head on, full into making pinball happen there in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a tough market, because if you've ever been or lived in LA, and I've lived in LA, everything's so spread out. So you've got all these millions of people there, but if you're in the wrong location, you will fail. And it's tough. And but I've not been to 82. I'm 2.5 hours from 82. You'd think I would have been there by now, and I haven't been, because LA is tough. It's a tough market, but she seems to be doing well. That seems to be going good. Haven't talked to Doug lately. I don't know Donovan in Colorado, and I don't know Blair Raleigh in Portland. I've spoken to some other folks around the country. I actually wanted to have an operators thing. I was pitching that to a few people. Sounds like things are good. Not fantastic, but good. And it's a weird thing, because as pinball has grown, we've seen a lot of that on the acquiring of machines side of things growing. And aftermarket, mods is growing. Location pinball seems to be growing in certain markets. Not everywhere. I know I had a couple listeners. I had mentioned just in passing about possibly putting a game or two out on route myself. I thought maybe I don't want to sell games. I'll just put them out. And a couple people shot off emails to me immediately like, oh, hey, I'm doing that right now. Don't do it. It's horrible. Like your game just gets beat up and you don't make any money. So I think that the idea of throwing pinball machines up in random places isn't what it used to be. I think it used to be you could make money doing that, just throwing a game in a bar, in the corner of a theater, wherever, and it would do really well. But not so much. Not so much. I think you have to be a destination. You have to be somewhere exciting for people who are into the hobby or into just that sort of lifestyle of pinball and the barcade. That works too. I would love for somebody to do, a San Diego Pinball Museum. I'd be interested in helping, but it would have to be right. It would have to be modeled after Seattle, the Seattle Pinball Museum. Fantastic, beautiful place. Love that a lot. I will say one thing about location and operators. I have had 3 separate operators tell me the same basic story in the past 6 months. 3 of them. And I won't say who, but I'll say these 3 different guys, they're all men, said this to me. Wizard of Oz has been one of the most troubled games to have on their location. They had all sorts of board issues, problem issues. The service has been fantastic. Jersey Jack's taken care of that game, and that game has been their number 1 earning game every single month. So take that as you may. And my last email tonight. This is from... Actually, you know what? I'm not reading that right now. Way too in-depth. You almost got there, Chris. You were so close, but can't do it tonight. My voice is going. I gotta go. That's episode 129. Thanks for listening. Thanks for starting off 2015 with me. WrestleMania is coming. The game, not the wrestling. I mean, the wrestling's coming too, but you don't care about that. Maybe you should all tune into Monday Night Raw tomorrow night and see what bad things is being done to John Cena and if he will overcome again. Probably he will. That's my guess. So until we get to episode 130, which will probably be pretty soon because I'm getting America's Most Haunted delivered tomorrow. I wish you all well. I hope you play some pinball, and thanks for listening. Talk to you soon. Thanks.
Whether you like it or don't like it, sit down and look at it because it's the best going today. Woo!